Hello, hello, hello. I believe that I am live. I need to click over here and make sure that I can see if there are any comments coming in. So if you would be beautifully patient with me, that would be amazing. One moment. Okay, there we go. All right, I think I can see. 1 second. I want to be able to see if you have comments. So there we go. I found it. That's what I wanted to see. Okay. So I'm going to do my best to see if I can watch comments and come chat with you. So if you're joining me live, we're going to see if we can navigate both of these. So if you're joining me live, come say hello. And I'm going to do my best to navigate comments while sharing with you, because what I have for you today, what I've decided to do is to share with you a, hi there. I'm going to shut this door, I guess. Mario, do you want to leave? Go with Papa. Here, he doesn't want a treat, but you need to go potty. Go with Papa. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to share with you, I have a treat for you. I'm going to share with you my chart. So that for a couple reasons. Number one, you can take this information. I'm going to tell you where you can go find your own chart. You can start digging in if you want. I feel called to just give you this example so you can see the magic of human design, the gift in human design, and what that offers. It has been absolutely life-changing for me. So if you're live, come say hello. Hey, Erin, come say hello. And I'm going to be doing my best to monitor the comments, and feel free to ask questions as we look at my chart. So yeah, I'm going to see how we can navigate this. So I'm going to pop over here. Let me check this 1 second. There's that. Come back in here. And I need this back up so I can see. Okay, so I'm going to screen share. I'm going to go grab my chart. I'm going to come back in, and then we're going to do a little bit of a chart reading. So feel free to come say hi, come ask questions, and we are going to get on with this. I'm excited to share with you. This is one of those things where, oh heavens to Betsy. Now I think I can see it. Okay. This is one of those things where I felt, what happened? That is not what I want to see. Oh, you guys, thank you for being so patient with me while I figure this out. I'm not sure. I think, okay, let me come back in. Where did it go? I think I just accidentally got rid of my screen share. Oh, heavens to Betsy. This is a little more than I thought it was going to be. Give me 1 second. Let me grab that again. We're going to make that. And I might not be able to see your comments. Okay. I'm going to see if I can make this work. Let me screen share this. Get that back in there. Okay. Tell me if you're seeing this. Okay. Thank you for your patience. If you have stuck around this long, can you see my chart? Do you see my chart up on your screen? I believe it's there. So let's dive into this. I'm going to not touch anything else and see if we can get through this. So I'm going to share this with you. And again, the reason I'm sharing this is I have found, and I've said this to all of the people I've done readings for, recorded readings, live readings, that you might not know what to ask if you're brand new to human design. You might not know what to ask or what questions you have. But what I have found time and time again is that human design answers questions or affirms things for you without you even realizing that you needed that affirmation. So what it's done is it gives this truth, you're on the right path, you're leaning in the right direction. Those things that you felt or experienced, you're not crazy. So it's really affirming is what I want you to hear. It's really, really affirming. So what you see is my chart. This is my chart, and I've pulled this. You can see I've pulled this from Jovian Archive. So you can go to Jovian Archive, you can pull up your chart, and you can start digging in. You don't need me to do this for you. If you want a shorter path to learning, if you want a little more support, I'm happy to do one of these readings for you. I'm not sure if I'm going to get fully in depth the way I do when I do a recording. We'll just kind of play this by ear. So let me know if oh, thanks, Aaron. You do see it. Perfect. So let me know if you have questions along the way as you go forward. And if you're watching on replay, you can also do the hashtag replay and share any questions or insights or comments you have there. Before we dive into this, let me give you a quick, brief overview. This example was given to me within human design, and it's an example that I'm sharing because I love it so much. So there are 5 different types. And if we look at all of the 5 types and how they would come together to make a Hollywood film, the first type is manifestors, and manifestors are they're like the producer of a movie. So they are the initiators. They are the ones that get things started. They make up about 8% of the population. The second group are generators and manifesting generators, and combined together, they make up about 70% of the population. So they're the majority of the population. And in our film analogy, they are the film crew, the actors, the actresses. The next category are projectors, and projectors make up about 20% of the population. And in our analogy, they are like the directors. So projectors are here to guide and teach. They oversee things. They can see how a small tweak might make something better. They can see a new way to do things, and they support people with that energy. And then the last category, last but not least, are our beautiful reflectors. And reflectors make up only about 1% of the population. And reflectors in our analogy are like editors. So when the movie is done, the editor will take it and they'll see what's working and what's not working. And a reflector, through the way that they're experiencing their situation, their relationships, their society, they'll be able to tell us the level of health within it and if it's working or not working. So reflectors are incredible. All of these categories have something beautiful to offer, but with the reflectors, especially as they're 1% of the population, they're obviously then the most unseen and unrecognized. And of course, for any of the categories, it can feel really challenging to be unseen. So you have my chart up, you can see my chart, and I am considered a projector. So we use our date of birth. I was born October 1st, 1976 at 1:22 p.m. in Hibbing, Minnesota. And we use all of that information to get very narrow and very specific. There is a lot going on in this chart, as you can see, and I'm not going to go over all of these numbers. I'm not going to go over all of the black and red within the chart. I'm going to give you the high level view so that you can get an idea of what this is like. So again, I am a projector. I'm part of that 20% of the population. I am here to guide and teach. And it's beautiful and fascinating that is what I've naturally been drawn to do. What's also really fascinating as we go in, so there are the 5 main categories, the 5 main types, and then there are these profiles. So I am a 6-2 profile, and the 6-2 profile, pardon me, is also lends itself toward being a teaching profile as well. So, which is really fascinating. It's a role model hermit profile. It's the exemplary human. And so it also lends itself to teach, which I just love that I've been naturally drawn to doing this. We'll touch on the profile in a little bit. So it shows the type, it gives you the profile. There are 6 lines. So 1 through 6, the profile is made up of 2 numbers, 1 through 6, and there are 12 different combinations. So there are 12 different profiles. So each of the categories, not all projectors, for example, are going to be 6-2 projectors. There can be other categories, manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, and reflectors that also carry the 6-2 profile. So the profiles can go across all of the categories, and the projector or the categories go across all profiles. So again, the point of this is how it continues to differentiate and differentiate and differentiate. And then the incarnation crosses, I believe there are 190. Ooh, I'm going to get that number wrong. There are a lot. So again, that also differentiates it down. It just keeps differentiating down and down and down. And we can look all of these different centers and the numbers and the arrows, it's all differentiating. So let's dive in. How I would start by looking at this is I would see that it's a projector, and I might say that one of the most profound things for the projector is here to teach and guide in some form or fashion. And then we would come into the centers. So I would explain to you, there are 9 different centers. These different shapes are called centers. There are 9 centers, and where you see color in the center means it's defined. And where you see white, it is undefined. And there are times when a center is considered open. That being said, you'll probably come across people that use undefined and open interchangeably. And if we're getting real technical, they are not the same thing. I don't have any open centers because an open center is a center that doesn't have any color even on the gates around it. So you can see this center here is nearly open, but it has this gate colored in, which makes it undefined rather than open. Same with this center. It's nearly open, but it has this gate right here, which again makes it undefined and not open. So I have 3 undefined centers and I have 6 centers defined. Now, as we dive into this, one of the things that I know now is that it's rare for a projector to have this many centers defined. A lot of projectors, and it goes across the board, right? Many projectors will have 2 or 3 or 4, and it's uncommon for a generator or a manifesting generator, for example, to have not very many centers defined. And yet I did a reading for someone who only has 2 centers defined. And it's fascinating, the distinction and the differentiation. And that's why a reading can be so helpful and so powerful. So let's start top down, and I'll go through the centers and what this means to me and my chart. So this top center is the head center or the crown center. And this center is all about inspiration. And for someone that has this defined, like I do, I tend to be a naturally inspirational person, which I love that. So I have a consistent source of inspiration, meaning things inspire me. I can look at a wall and be inspired. And people that don't have this defined, they'll feel inspired, but then they naturally feel like the pressure to act on that inspiration. Where for me, with the definition, I can feel inspired by looking at a wall. I love contemplating big questions. I'm just a naturally inspirational person, which feels like it fits to a T, if I do say so myself. The second center is the Anja Center, ANJA, and this center is all about ideas. So for me, with it being a defined center, I really have a fixed way of thinking. So anywhere you see definition in your chart, it is true to you. It's fixed is I think a good word. It's like, that's the way it is for you. Where you see undefined in the chart or white in the chart or open in the chart, that means you're susceptible to other people and their energy, should you be with someone that has that defined. So for example, someone with an undefined Anja center, they can see many sides and feel pulled in many different directions. So they might not, it might be hard for them to come up with how they really, like, what is their idea about something? What do they really think about something? That might be hard for them to pull up so they can see the various sides of it. So keep in mind here too, that undefined, there's gifts in undefined as well. And if you're a reflector, there are giant gifts in being a reflector. The key here is knowing it and understanding it and being aware of it and what that means, because then you can lean into those gifts a little bit more. So for someone like me with a defined Anja center, again, it's naturally inspirational. I'm sorry, it's the fixed thinking. So I am open to ideas, but I tend to have some fixed thinking that goes along with it. I also have it's often easy for me to be able to break down and explain things a different way. It's easy for me to take new things on because I have both of these centers defined. So learning, I have a great capacity to learn and to take on. It's natural for me to be able to do that, where that's maybe not natural for everyone. Next, we have this square center, and this is the throat center. It's colored in brown because, again, for me, it is defined. And this is the communication center. And if it's defined, it's essentially means that you can effectively speak about what it's defined to. So what is my throat defined to? It is defined to this diamond underneath it. We'll touch on that in a moment. If the throat center is undefined, this person might feel pressure to speak. They might feel pressure, like think of a classroom setting. If you have an undefined throat center and you don't know it, and other people are speaking up, you might feel a lot of pressure to speak. A gift in the undefined throat center is that you can also speak various ways, depending on who you're with. So again, where we have anytime we're undefined, we can take that on from someone else. And it's like we're borrowing. My husband refers to this as being a succubus. So we can borrow from other people. We can take that on and use that and then lean into that. For someone like me that it's defined, though, we look at where it's defined to and the connection. This is known as a channel. Where does that channel come from? And we lean into that center in order to know what is our gift to bring forward. And let's move down then into that diamond. This diamond is known as the G center. Some places refer to it as the identity. And the G center is all about self-love. It's about purpose and it's about direction. So this center really embodies self-love. It embodies purpose. It embodies direction. That is incredibly important to me. I know my purpose. I know my direction. I know what I'm here for. And what's really fascinating, and I'll tell you about this in a moment, this caveat, I didn't realize the power of me speaking into self-love until I started learning about my human design. And if you've known me for any length of time, you know that I speak very deeply into leading with love. And as you look at my chart, It's no wonder, because I have this defined, this self-love, this purpose, this direction defined, and it's defined to my throat. So me speaking about leading with love and aligning to your personal compass, because this is also the identity center, it's amazing how perfect it is to be doing this. And then again, when we look back up into these two, having this definition for me, bringing my ideas forward, sharing that inspiration. So me, these four specifically speak to aligning to your personal compass. It speaks very clearly that this is the purpose, that this is the perfect purpose and direction for me. Off to the side of the G center, the identity center, is this little guy goes by three names. It goes by the will, ego, or heart. And in the traditional chakra system, these two combine to make the heart. In this system, in human design, they are separate. So again, this little guy is the ego, the will, or the heart center, and its purpose is self-worth, willpower, and motivation. So my caveat that I mentioned is that although this is the center of self-love, self-love is focused on there, and this is a place for self-worth. A lot of times, I'm not sure if you've done this, but I know I've done this in the past, where I know that my self-worth comes from outside of me. And that's something I'm working on. I'm practicing that. I'm doing my best to lean into that, to make it my own and to own it on myself. But I had self-worth and self-love as one and the same, and they're not, they're separate. So this is self-worth, motivation, and willpower. And I really feel motivated. I have willpower and a sense of self-worth when I'm around other people. If we look at our love languages, my top love language is words of affirmation. So I love words of affirmation. I love when people tell me that I'm doing a great job, which is really fascinating. And I recognize that, I understand it, I own it. That's just a piece of who I am. It's also part of my human design. We'll touch on the strategy as well, which also speaks into why that feels so good to me, specifically as a projector. Let's come down here to this middle white guy. This is the sacral center, and the sacral center is all about desires. The sacral center is also a very powerful energy center. So generators and manifesting generators all have the sacral center defined, and they have this ongoing, consistent energy that will carry them through the day. As a projector, I don't have that fire. I don't have that ongoing, consistent, coal-burning energy that will carry me through the day. 70% of the population has it. The other 30% don't have that. So if you're like me or one of the other designs that don't have a sacral center defined, you might have felt lazy. You might feel like you're a little broken, or you're a little tired all the time, or there's something wrong with you. And I'm here to tell you that take a peek at your human design chart. If you don't have this defined, that could be a piece of it right off the bat. And I know for me, it was a giant light bulb moment when I learned that. I felt seen, validated, affirmed, because I'm not going to keep up with people the way that some people can. Also, this means, again, wherever we have white in our chart, we're amplifying, right? So I can, as a projector, because I have this empty, these are gifts too, not empty, undefined. Wherever we have the white, it's undefined, and those can be a gift too. So I can connect with someone that has their sacral defined, and I can like power up, right? I can get really powerful. I can get a lot of stuff done in a short amount of time. The challenge, though, if you don't realize that you're a projector, like I now know is that I can get powered up, I can move, I can do a lot in a short amount of time, but then when I'm done, I need to stop and I need to rest and I need to take a break and I need to press pause, which is really fascinating because pushing through will immediately lead to burnout. So being really mindful of that. If you don't have a defined sacral center, you could lead yourself or bring yourself to burnout pretty fast. Moving on, to the left of the sacral center is the spleen center. This is the oldest center in the body, and the spleen is all about instinct. It is also known as the fear center. It's where our fears reside, and not in a bad way. Think of fight or flight. Think of being notified. Think of that instinct. It's the instinct, the natural instinct, the fight or flight, the knowing it's okay or not okay. If you have this defined, like I do, this happens to also be my inner authority. As a projector, I am a splenic projector. You can see the inner authority. So when I receive an invitation, my strategy is to wait for an invitation, meaning that I shine and I share with you and I do what I'm meant to do. I share my voice, I share my gifts, and then I just step back and I wait for someone to notice. For in human design terms, we refer to this as wait to be recognized, which again speaks into that self-worth, right? So I wait to be recognized, wait to be noticed. And when I'm noticed, that's when an invitation shows up. Hey, Jen, could you do XYZ for me? Hey, Jen, I would like to work with you. What does that look like? Hey, Jen, do you coach? Hey, Jen, do you speak? Hey, Jen, what about this? And the moment those invitations come in, I use my inner authority again, which is my spleen. I'm a splenic projector, and my spleen will tell me on the spot, yes or no. It's a gut instinct. It's a knowing in the moment. If you have this undefined, you can tap into this knowing in the moment, but it's probably not going to be your best resource because you have something else that is going to speak to you. You have your own inner authority. If you have this undefined, you're not going to have, like, the spleen isn't going to be your first go-to, is what I want to say. You can lean on it, you could probably use it, but it's not going to be your go-to resource, which for me, it's my go-to resource. For someone with their sacral defined, a generator or a manifesting generator, it's their go-to resource. So they're going to tap into that. For me, I'm tapping into my spleen. It's a in the moment knowing, like a whisper. Don't go there. Don't do this. Oh yeah, say yes to that. Or post this, go live, do this now. I hear it all the time. So when I tell you that I'm coming live because I heard I'm supposed to, it's the spleen telling me to go live. On the other side over here, this is the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is responsible for our emotions. So it's the emotional solar plexus, and you can see that mine is undefined. This means that, again, if it's undefined, we often amplify, we reflect, take on, and amplify. And for this guy, the emotional solar plexus, this is where all of the emotions reside, meaning I can feel what others feel. And often I can feel it before they feel it. So for example, my husband, he's adopted, though we're pretty sure I've narrowed down what his chart is, and whatever time I've selected, he has this defined. So for example, I can often feel what he's feeling before he's even voiced it. And then I will amplify that. So if he's feeling angry about something, I will amplify that and like take that on as my own anger, which is really fascinating and sometimes not very helpful, by the way. If someone is feeling sad or anxious or hurt, I can generally feel all of that, which is really interesting. So I can take that on, and let's be honest, as a projector that's meant to guide and teach and share wisdom and inspiration, that is a gift. So you can see in our white, in our undefined, it is a gift. It's a gift waiting to happen as long as we can see it as such. And then down here, the bottom is the root center. And the root center is the home of pressure and adrenaline. So for someone that has this undefined, they might feel pressure to make decision, pressure to speak, pressure to fill in the blank. They might feel all the pressure to take care of something right now. With this defined, that pressure essentially passes through me. I don't quite feel the pressure the way someone else would feel it. And actually, let me pull this up quickly. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to see. When you have a defined root center, things get done when they get done. So again, it's that lack of, I don't feel the pressure to have to do things at a certain time, which then sometimes will lead to things don't get done until the last minute, because I just don't feel that pressure. It doesn't really, I don't let it get to me, I guess. We'll say it that way. So that's the chart. That is my chart. That's my centers and what that looks like, defined and undefined for me, and how that looks in my world. The 6-2 profile, the 6 line comes from the personality side. It's the number behind the decimal point on the black personality side over here. And the 2 comes from the design side. It's the 2 behind the decimal point on the red side. The personality side, the black side, is typically conscious. So it's things that we're conscious of. And the red side, the design side, is typically things that we are unconscious of. The 6 in human design is the role model. And the 2 in human design is the hermit. So the role model, the 6 is a pretty unique line in that it goes through 3 stages. In the first approximately 30 years or so, it goes through a lot of trials and errors and making mistakes and just kind of figuring things out. It like gets messy in order to figure things out. And then the next, give or take 20 years, the 6 goes on to the roof, they say in human design. And that is a space where it kind of goes within, it kind of licks its wounds. It gets to know and process all of the stuff that it went through the first chunk of its life, which is so perfect. And exactly what I've been doing is processing all of this and learning from it, and then sharing and leaning out. And then the last portion of its life, it says approximately 50 years and over, the 6 really begins to embody that role model piece and really step into being a role model. And coming down from the roof to then share what they know. Now, how the 2 line plays into this. So the 2 line is the hermit, and the 2 line is like, the 2 line likes to be alone. They like to recharge alone. So which is totally me, can be seen as someone who doesn't really want connections. They like to be kind of by themselves, likes to recharge and be alone. And this can really play out, especially during that middle phase when the 6 goes on the roof, because the 2 line is totally okay being alone and kind of quiet. And a great date night for a 2 line is like sitting on the couch, like me doing my thing with my husband doing his thing, and we're just kind of doing our things, So it's really, really kind of fun. And I love knowing more about my profile. It feels very much like me. I shared a little bit with you about the strategy and the authority. Those tie together. Those are incredibly important for any chart. So pay attention to that if you start exploring yours. And then the other piece, and this is where alignment comes in and how we can gauge this on a moment by moment by moment basis. And this is for all of us. Your not self theme will be different than mine, probably. Your authority may be different than mine, but how we do this. So a self theme for a projector is success. When I say self theme, we could call that alignment. So alignment for a projector is success. Quite literally, feeling of success, being successful in business, being successful in relationships and what you're doing. So it's embodying success. The not self theme for the projector, and when I say not self, I'm also referring to out of alignment, is bitterness. So this feeling of bitterness, this feeling of jealousy or comparison, I know when I'm out of alignment, when I'm feeling a sense of bitterness or jealousy or comparison. I know when I'm in alignment because I'm feeling success. I'm feeling like bright and energetic and vibrant. That to me, I feel aligned. I feel fluid. I feel like I'm shining. I feel successful. And so I can use, and just like you, once you understand your strategy, your authority, and your theme, especially the not self theme in this way and the self theme, you can use these to continue gauging whether or not you're making the right decision, because you'll always be given the right decision. It's just whether or not you're honoring it. So you might make a incorrect decision or a wrong decision. And for me, I would feel a sense of bitterness. And if I'm feeling that, then I know that I'm just stepping out of alignment. And I can, just like a map, just like your GPS in your car, it's not a one wrong turn and you're done. You can always correct the path. You can always course correct at any moment. So the key then is to listen, make a new, correct, aligned decision, and you'll start to feel that self-theme show back up again. For me, it's success. So there is a reading of a chart. That is what human design gives us. And that's the overview. There's a ton in there just from knowing that. If you got a reading from me, you'll get some of that information and you'll know what your strategy and your authority is, and your theme and your not self theme. And using those, you'll be able to begin living like this totally aligned, beautiful life. And then when we take sacred money archetypes and we pile that in, we can weave it all together and use both of those tools to go forward and really build this beautiful life for you, whether that's in relationships or finances or career, or just living a day-to-day life that fills you up. So there we have it. There is my human design chart, an example, a sample reading of what that might look like. And reminder of birthday month. That's still going on through the end of the week. So if you, again, the readings that I'm giving are 30-minute, $30 readings. If you want me to look at your chart, I'm happy to do that personally. Otherwise, everything else is also part of birthday month. So let me know if you have any questions about this, and we'll go forward. So I'm going to send you happy Mondays, and I'm going to wish you well. Take care, and we'll talk soon.